Hello everyone, I apologize. I have to use alternative forms of narration for a moment, relevant to speed and practicality. My narrated content takes the longest to manage. Drawing is a matter of minutes. The audio element, however, challenges both my time and achievability. Thank you for understanding and putting up with me as I navigate through these issues.
I wanted to speak briefly about mental health and social media. As others before me have said, the current climate online heavily encourages narcissism and exacerbates NPD. If possible, I think it makes people with these traits even worse. They now have a new vehicle to obsess over: attention, supply, easy money, popularity, and even notoriety. They don't care if they are famous in a positive way, or if they attract negative opinion. Chantal straight out said recently that negative attention is attention. Narcissists or people with strong narcissistic traits will degrade themselves in the name of clicks and reaction. Please understand that any reaction, whether negative or positive, counts as supply for narcissists. Any time spent on them is narcissistic supply. Today I will briefly touch up on Nikocado Avocado, and I will draw parallels between him and Chantal. I could never watch too much of Nico, because I found his format very boring. He would go into over-dramatized tantrums and pretend to be fighting with his husband. In nearly every upload, he would throw food around him and smear it all over his face. He would cry and say his life was over. Every video, the same thing on repeat. Somehow this formula seemed to work for him and garner him hundreds of thousands of views. I'm not sure how he could draw fandom or interest. He would overshare very intimate stories about his sexual experiences. He would humiliate himself to create drama and stir controversy by saying that he pooped on himself. One time he even held his chair up and showed the supposed smeared poop on the seat that had apparently gone through his trousers.
I felt ill at the sight.
I hardly tuned in, but on the odd occasion that I played one of his videos, this is what I confronted. What are the chances of coincidentally checking out an episode in which he claimed he soiled his pants and furniture? I don't know how often he resorted to such desperate antics. Nikocado is a very talented violinist. He was relatively good-looking when he started out on YouTube. He claims to have masterminded a social experiment whereby he would gain extreme amounts of weight, and then lose it so he could pull a trick on audiences who believed he was done with and could never recover. It's difficult to fathom the stress that he put his body through, the excess skin he was left with, and he had to go through surgery to remove, both on his body and face. He's only 32, but he looked extremely aged and ill by the time he lost his weight. Before he started gaining it, he looked youthful, vibrant and fresh. Why would someone put themselves through such deterioration for easy income? If I can use the word easy. Imagine the obsession for attention, risking one's health and life for narcissistic supply. There is no denying he is a narcissist who craves constant attention.
Does it remind you of anyone we know?
When he started his social media journey, he alleged to have been vegan. This took place at a time when a plant diet was the new in thing. He was also obsessed with his image, so he wanted to look attractive. His relationship was fairly new and he was charged with excitement. We notice similar patterns in Nikocado as Foodie beauty. The acquiring of new pets, quickly followed by the pet's neglect and abandonment. Nikocado left his cat behind in South America when he moved back to the US with his husband. He also left his sick parrot behind. It was very obvious during Nico's videos that the bird was very unwell. After Nick lost weight, he appeared in his videos with a new parrot he claimed to be the original Mr. Noodles, who now appeared strangely healed. I mean, how was the abandoned pet with Nico all of a sudden? Did the poor soul fly to Florida from Colombia? This parrot had all his feathers. He looked vibrant and perky, in good condition. It was clear as day that Nikocado was lying to his audiences. He had bought a new animal, so he could reflect positively on his new skinny status. He wanted to come across as successful, a victor. In other words, Nikocado is a manipulator who uses animals to his advantage, to make a point. They are props to him to serve a purpose. He has no emotional connection to them. He doesn't care for their welfare, or about how they feel. He doesn't care about what happens to them. He and Foodie Beauty are very similar to one another in this respect and many other points, with the difference being that Chantal has no control over herself and what she eats. Nicocado's sociopathy is so advanced that he would put his body through extremes and, most importantly, innocent animals through danger, suffering and even death, so he could achieve his goal of attention acquirement. I had commented underneath one of his videos with the new parrot, exposing his trickery and cruelty, and he got very angry. Narcissists explode if you catch them out. Hence Chantal's rages when people see through her schemes and manipulation. Either Nico, or one of his followers confronted me on the significance of the parrot's true identity. I explained that Nick used the animal and passed him as Mr. Noodles to tug at the viewer's heartstrings. He had been dishonest and manipulative. Most importantly, he was cold-hearted and cruel toward Mr. Noodles, who had probably passed away by this stage. Nico didn't care. He remained unmoved and tried to pass him as alive and well for his own benefit. Apart from using animals as props, narcissists also use pets for affection to feel validated through, for company and also status. Narcissists pretend to love animals in order to come across as kind, caring and heroic to others. This helps them lower victims' defense and to get close to people, to make others vulnerable and to suck narcissistic supply from targets either through emotional intimacy or other benefits. Nikocado further expressed callousness and displayed how cold-hearted he really was, that he didn't care for animals at all when he justified his abandonment of a vegan diet. He was extremely defensive and said that he had to look after himself, not just think about animals. His attitude was very reminiscent to Chantal, when she wanted to abandon her cats and have BBJ euthanized, so she can go and be with Salah. "I'm not going to get married because of my cats," she snapped. "I have a life to live. I've given enough years to them." Who speaks with such coldness about their beloved pets, their family members? Only those incapable of any feelings or emotional connection. I guess I found a little more entertainment value in Chantal when I started watching her. Before she revealed her cold-hearted attitude toward animals, she seemed a little bit more honest than the fake histrionics of Nikocado. Think about how scary this is. Nikocado would stare dead center down the camera and fake tears. Tears would be streaming down his face in an attempt to manipulate audiences and to support his narrative. If that isn't sociopathy in the least, I don't know what is. Foodie hadn't done anything this alarming by that stage. I found her interest in makeup and fashion engaging. When she was in a good mood, she had a decent sense of humor. What I'm saying is that I believe there could have been potential in Chantal. Sadly, there is serious narcissism present. Narcissism is controversial and some experts believe it is attributable to genetics. Whether developmental or inherited, people with NPD, narcissism, or sociopathy can't and don't want to evolve into something better, because according to them there's nothing wrong with them to begin with. Whatever they do is justified by their lot in life. They always showcase themselves as victims.
Thank you for listening, everyone. I say these people are evil and very dangerous. Till next time, be safe.